What to include in your company description. Describe the nature of your business. You have to look at your business. Are you providing goods or services? Goods are physical products that you build, manufacture, and you sell to your customers. Services differ from goods because they're consumed at the time that the person who provides the services actually does the work. So for instance, if you go get a haircut, the barber provides the service at the moment that they're doing the work. The barber is not building a physical product that later gets sold after it sits in inventory somewhere in the business. You also want to explain how your products and services meet the needs of your customers, because it's important to know what is it that your customers are looking for. Another key element is you want to explain competitive advantages. What does your business do better than other businesses? So a lot of times I work with business owners and they'll say, I want to be the low-cost producer. Being a low-cost producer means that you have to scale the business, invest large dollars, build a lot of infrastructure, and achieve high fixed costs that get allocated over large production cycles. A small business typically can't do that. That's the nature of a small business. But you have to figure out, what do you do different, what do you do better, and what can't be easily duplicated by the competition in order for you to have a competitive advantage. You also want to develop a mission statement. What are the values of the business? What do you want to communicate to your customers and your other stakeholders? What do you do better than others? And not only better, but what do you do differently, perhaps in an even more ethical way than your competition? You want to create a list of company goals and objectives. When are you going to become profitable? When are you going to have your first customer? When are you going to start repaying back the loan? When are you going to employ a bigger staff? When are you going to move to a bigger office? These are all key elements that you want to list. You also want to discuss how your company has grown and will continue to grow. You may, if your company doesn't yet exist, you want to talk about your plans for growth and your experience in growing other businesses. Or maybe you haven't had your own business, but you have grown a department within a big company. So you want to discuss how did that department in the big company grow under your supervision and direction. And you want to outline goals, detailed goals that you have you've developed for the company. And goals are similar to objectives, but goals a lot of times can be much more quantifiable. For instance, when are we going to reach $100,000 in sales? Or when are we going to have our 10th employee? Or when are we going to be able to have our own payroll department, whatever the case may be? Or when are we going to be able to invest in our first distribution vehicle, a van or truck or something of that nature? You also want to close with a small statement outlining the most important objectives your company wishes to accomplish. So you have your goals, you have your objectives. Why are you getting in business? Maybe you have a personal tie to a certain area where you are opening the business, or to a certain product, or to a certain service. So in reviewing that list, you can develop the company description, and once you go through all of those points on the slide that you're watching now, you'll be able to take the quiz for session 2 of creating a business plan. Services differ from goods because they're consumed at the time that the person who provides the services actually does the work. So for instance, if you go get a haircut, the barber provides the service at the moment that they're doing the work. The barber is not building a physical product that later gets sold after it sits in inventory somewhere in the business. You also want to explain how your products and services meet the needs of your customers, because it's important to know what is it that your customers are looking for. So when you have a product or service, you have to understand, what does the customer want? Not just the product or service, but what benefits do they expect to receive from these products or services. A third element is you want to list specific consumers, organizations, or businesses. The way that works is you may not be able to name individuals, but you could give a demographic profile of your customers. So for instance, you want to be able to say, my customers are of a certain age, of a certain economic background, of a certain education level. They live in the city, they live in the suburbs, they live in the country. So you want to build a demographic profile of your customers and be able to describe them.